sweet? Do you feel sweet? It's amazing. I have no skin and I feel everything. It's amazing. I feel good when you feel good. I knew I would. It's amazing. I've wanted this for so long. Now the deed has been done. We shall rise with the sun. Spend our time as one. Now there is no sin in anything. It's amazing. I love life, I hope you do too. 'Cause I love everything. It's all amazing. I feel new. Do you feel new? I understand when they say we're born again. 'Cause I've been born again. I'm born again. And it's amazing. It's the best thing. It's glorious. It's life-changing. This feeling is amazing. It's the best thing. It's glorious. It's life-changing. This feeling.
It's glorious, it's life-changing, it's amazing. What a tune there by One Eskimo. Welcome to the LUF Lounge tonight. We have got a right crew tonight, and I suppose a really serious but somber subject matter. So our value for this week is legacy. But just before we come on air, I shared some personal recent experiences with the group, and it just gives us a sobering reminder that these issues are live for us, and it really is amazing when you experience something good and true and beautiful, but it can be pretty tough as well when you're not having that experience. And tonight we're just going to go no holds barred, so it should have a warning with this program. A big warning sign should flash on your screen to say we intend to try and wake you up, to try and enlighten you to some of the issues that we all face, some of the stigma that we face, some of the labels that have been put on us, and how we as a community band together, shoulder to shoulder, and try and overcome it together through partnerships, through community, through each other. Sometimes that's saving one life at a time. So tonight you're going to hear from some of our esteemed guests. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to my Oppo, Lindsay, who is going to introduce herself. Say hi.
Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, whichever way you look at it. Yeah, I'm Lindsay Jackson. I'm lead volunteer in the North for Red Rose Recovery, an advocate of the Lancashire User Forum. Please, before we like and share to as many groups as you can, if you could please, to your own Facebook pages, any groups, as many as we can, so we can spread the love. Already we've got a few people. Can I just quickly blast out a few names? We've got Dan Littlechild, Mark Gornell, Kaylee Camel, Margaret Garcia Vicho, Chris Blencarn, Paul Edwards and Bev Webster, already hopefully liking and sharing. Please, if you've got any questions for any of our guests, if you just want to say a hi, compliments galore, it would be lovely for our lovely Chris Fogg, who's going to be singing, and our lovely Willie. Any questions, any support you need, hopefully one of our beautiful Red Rose team will be on board. Joining with the comments, please makes the show far more enjoyable if we join in as much as possible. Spread some love.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lindsay. How long have we been doing these now, Lindsay? We must be into...
Mark, right at the beginning, wasn't it, Mark? Right at the first wave of COVID, wasn't it? March time?
Yeah. I think, what are we in, about 33 weeks, something like that?
But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was still in rehab, wasn't I, when we started? I was still at Littledale Hall.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you really have been on this journey with us together, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. And I love it. It's better than the last journey anyway, the 30 plus years of drinking. Yeah, I like this one better.
Nice one. So tonight we've got a subject matter which is around mental health. You know, they're the issues that sometimes underpin a lot of the behaviours that we experience, and have got a great insight, got a real life experience. So on my right of how I look at it, I've got Chris Fogg.
Hello guys, lovely to be back on here. It's a pleasure to be back. I think this is my 5th time doing it within like 2-3 months. And every single time I feel really humbled and grateful to be asked to come on. And as it happens with what today's subject's about and with what we're aiming to do, I feel even more sort of grateful and humble to be a part of this one.
Brilliant. Okay, and then we've got our very own mascot, Willie McBlain. Willie, you've been on this journey with us now for a good number of years, haven't you? Say hi to everyone, Willie.
Hi, everybody. It's Willie. Any questions on mental health tonight? I'll try and answer them for you, but I hope you are all well and good.
Brilliant. Thanks, Willie. And you have got what we call a real life lived experience of mental health, aren't you, Willie? But coming at it from the other side. So maybe share some of your insights with us tonight, Willie.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, and we have also got Chris Howarth. Welcome to the live LUF Lounge, Chris. There's 42 people who are tuned in live now. Say hello to them.
Hi, everybody. And also thanks to you, Peter, for inviting me along. This is my first time joining the forum. I've listened in a couple of times before, but me and Peter have been speaking for a few weeks, kind of privately, and been leading up to this moment. So my story is around addiction. Live that kind of life, which obviously has a mental health element to it. So yeah, I'm sure at some point tonight I'll get an opportunity to talk about my story, my background, and the program that I've kind of constructed, and how we can go into detail about that. But yeah, really chuffed to be here, meeting new people. The couple of times I've seen it before, find it really inspirational. You know, the story that Peter shared that before that we came on, just really hit home how serious all this stuff is. Whilst we can try and have a laugh and a joke about certain things, we're all here for the same reason, and the bottom line is to save people's lives. So I'm here to do my bit tonight and share a bit of that experience as well.
And we're going to talk a little bit about the recovery program that you've written.
Yeah.
So, lads and lasses, because we're inclusive here, if you want to hear a bit more of that program, stay tuned, because Chris has actually got that program tattooed all over his body, and he's going to be showing you those
This
tattoos
is my life
and that
story
recovery.
right here.
It's
Yeah.
all over his body, so he's going to be stripping off, and you will have to read
Woohoo!
that program on his chest and arms and back later on. So stay tuned for
It's
that
a
one,
novel way of
guys.
delivering a new program. Yeah.
Naked.
Yeah, it's a novel. It's novel and it's novel, naked, and very real. This
I like
this
this.
recovery program.
Well, this is a first. I've never done a naked love.
I weren't
before.
expecting that, Peter. You've kind of thrown me a little bit there.
Yeah, I just
I'm on the spot a little
stuck
bit.
it. Yeah, man, stuck it right on you there. Let's see them numbers go up now. Then with everything.
Yeah.
Okay, the guys have been doing some really fabulous stuff in the community. You know, COVID as it's brought about a new way of doing things, hasn't it? And you know, people talk about paradigm shifts, and lots of us have had the capacity and the resources and the capability, but not everybody's jumped on board with, like, you know, this new wave of technology as fast as they have when COVID took the option away of choice. So it was like either connect via some of these platforms or remain disconnected. So everybody's, you know, everyone's used to it now, aren't they? And that's a really good thing. And what I've seen is there's some brilliant things happening in the community. One of those things is called Puzzle Productions. And honestly, how the BBC do not catch a hold of you guys, because there's some real stars coming through on Puzzle Productions.
I'm clearly not included in that because it's just... By the
tell
way,
us a bit about it.
The wrinkles are drawn on. It's not real. I've put that like wrinkle makeup on for the part of the Claire. I'm just pointing that out before you play it.
Well, talking about playing it then.
I'm guessing you're going to play episode 4.
Well, yeah, I just hope this doesn't mess up the streaming. So let's go with a little introduction of episode 4. So it would be...
Can I just point out then, Pete, we are on episode 4. If you have missed any, 1, 2 and 3 are on YouTube now. So if you do look on YouTube, please subscribe to the Puzzle Productions page.
Brilliant. Here we go. Puzzle Productions, episode 4.
Yes, Craig. Claire's kicked me out, mate. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got all this stuff happening. Niggsy wants his money. I ain't got the drugs. The police have got the drugs. My head's battered, mate. Absolutely battered. I can't see my kids. She won't let me see the kids. Yeah, I'm going to lose everything. I've got nowhere to stay tonight, mate. I need to stay at yours. Before all that, mate, I need to get on it. I need to get something. So, I'm coming to yours. I'll be there in about an hour. Bye.
You alright, Cherry? What's that, mate? Pardon? What, she's kicked you out and you can't see the kids? Why, though? What? Mate, sod them lot, I'm telling you now. We'll go and look for them. Listen, you can stay at mine tonight, yeah? Right, come to mine. We'll stay at mine. I've got some stuff here for us. We can get on it, yeah? And we'll go and see them tonight. I'll sort this out myself. Yeah, well, we'll sort this tonight, mate, because... Yeah, right, well, come to mine. Get a taxi to mine or something now. I've got some stuff here anyway. And then we'll sort them out tonight. Don't you worry, and you can go back home. Yeah? Alright, mate. See you soon, Terry, yeah? Bye-bye.
Terry phones a taxi to go and see Craig, but on the way makes a phone call
Hello. You alright, bro? Are you about? Yeah, I need to come and see you for some stuff, man. Yeah, I'm just in a taxi on the way to yours. Yeah, shall I meet you in the usual spot, yeah? Alright, cool. Oh, my head's fucked. Yeah. Alright, see you soon. Alright, bye, bye, bye.
Meanwhile, Nigsy phones one of his heavies.
Yeah, I'm just in a taxi on the way to yours.
Hello, cheeky lads. How are you, lads? How's it going? Yeah, good. I'll be with you on Friday, mate. Yeah, got some power. Sound, yeah. Listen, mate, what it is that Terry, mate. Have you seen him recently? No, I didn't think so, mate. He got Griff with a pass on the man, mate. Yeah, he's a freaking grass, mate. No, mate, I'm being serious. I'm telling you, he's a grass. He took some stuff I gave him sort of the other day, went missing, supposedly got nicked, mate. I think he did get nicked, to be honest. I've sent someone to his birds, mate, but he's still not in. But anyway, mate, if he gets on you, mate, which knows how he's gone to, make sure you get my job. I'm coming to the end of my tether, mate. If he hasn't got it, leave it where you find him. No, mate, just leave him on the spot where you find him, mate, yeah, and get on me straight away. Alright, Dukey lads, I'll see you Friday, mate. See you soon, take care.
Yes, Nigsy, good to hear from you, mate. Who, Tommy? He's on his way to see me now. I always thought he was a little grass as well. Wow. Listen, mate, leave it with me and I'll do it. You sort me out some of that power that you're going on about. Yes, Nigsy. Alright, mate, as soon as he gets here and I've sorted it, I'll get in contact with you, mate. Tommy. Alright, see you soon.
Terry arrives and has been waiting for Duke for 20 minutes.
Yes, Terry, where are you, mate? Yeah, well, hurry up, because I've been sitting here for 20 minutes already. I'm in a cab, you know. Alright, fuck. Alright, don't take the piss then. Hurry up. You know. Yeah, I'll be back in 10 minutes, yeah? Alright. Yeah, well, hurry up, because I've been sitting here for 20 minutes already. I'm in a cab, you know.
Me and now, Terry. Listen, just got off the phone from Nigsy as well.
Don't take the piss then.
He said you're a little grass. He's told me to give you this.
Oh. Yeah, I'll be back in 10 minutes, yeah? What was that for? Listen, mate, I'm not paying him. I ain't paying him now. He ain't getting nothing from me, mate. I've lost everything because of that guy. I've lost my family. I'm going to jail. Listen, mate, I don't care about him. If he wants to do that, look what's going to happen. Watch what happens to him, mate. Watch what happens to him. What's that for?
You what, lad?
Listen, mate, I'm not paying him.
What do you mean you're not going to do nothing to him, lad? This is what you're going to get, mate. This is what he's told me to give you as well.
I've lost my family. I'm going to jail. Listen, mate, I don't care about him. If he wants to do that, look what's going to happen. Watch what happens to him, mate. Watch what happens to him. What's that for?
What, lad?
Oh.
You're not going to do nothing to him, lad. This is what you're going to get, mate. This is what he's told me to give you as well.
Family, I'm going to jail. Listen, mate, I don't care. If he wants to do that,
Oh my god! Oh my god! What's happened to you? You've been stabbed, mate. You've been fucking stabbed. I'm ringing ambulance now.
Listen, love, we can't go off this time. Babe, we can't go off this time. I've got too much on.
I cancelled tonight with my mates so we could do something.
Babe, listen, you know what? If I've got to sort something out, babe, I can't take you out.
Every fucking weekend. Every weekend you do this to me.
Listen,
you shit.
listen.
You chat shit to me all the time.
You know the score with Teddy. If I don't sort this Teddy out, mate, my head's going to roll for this.
I don't care. Why promise me things and let me down?
I didn't know.
All the time. I'm sick of this. Sick of this.
Yes, Nigsy. Just seen Terry now. I'm not going to say too much on the phone, but it's done, lad. See you soon, mate.
Hey, what's up, lads? Like, you've done him. It's right, lads. Are you alright? Yeah, all right. Listen, lads, doing good, yeah? Yeah, it is right, lads. All right, lads, well, you know the score, get stripped, get them binned, stay low. I'll come and see you in a couple of days. It's right, lads, you're a star. You've saved me a massive headache there, mate. Nice one. It's Juki, amazing, lads. Keep your head low, lads. Nice one. Ta-ra.
Hi, yes, we have Terry here, mid-30s, found by a taxi driver around 16:05. Severe stab wound to the abdominal, needs to go down to surgery straight away.
Claire gets a call from hospital.
Hello? Yes, it is, yeah. What? What? No. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Where? Is he going to die? Where is he? Is he in hospital? Which hospital? Oh, God. Oh, is it bad? Oh, God. Oh, I don't... Oh,
Puzzle Productions, amazing. Do you know, if any of those issues have brought anything up for you, then I suppose, because they are real life issues, aren't we? We've introduced knife crime, drug dealing, addiction. I know it's a great piece of theatre, but if any of that, I just have to say, if it's brought anything up for you, then reach out and touch base with our guys. Lindsay, so you're an actor as well as a presenter.
Did you have to freeze right on my double chin, Pete? I mean, you could honestly. And goodness me, can I just shout out a few names, please? A lot of the stars of Puzzle, I'm saying stars of Puzzle Productions are watching. Oh, our Terry Hughes has just logged on. Samantha Neen, Lisa Graney, Barbara English. Barbara's one of our stars. She's amazing. She wasn't in this episode. Sean Lamer, Jonathan Chapman, our Emily Rook, who wasn't in. Emily Rook plays PC Kinder in Puzzle Productions. She wasn't on tonight. Claire Illy, I've missed her point actually. I'm hoping someone's picked it up because it was way back. Mark Gornall, sounds like he's struggling actually, so I'm hoping somebody picks that up. I met Mark in rehab. He's saying about not connecting and he's lost a lot of it with COVID, but I said, well, he's connecting now because he's on here. So I've told him to get on some of our groups. Our lovely Glen Islands just tuned in as well. Stuart Watson from one of our teams. Samantha Jane Cooper. Neil Mack, who played Nigsy. Yeah, we've got a few comments coming in. Brilliant to see. Happy Saturday, guys. So yeah, I've got lots of comments.
Can I just say on that as well? Yeah. Like, so my route is a bit more sort of traditional in like sort of treatment centre therapy and that kind of route. The 1 or 2 sessions that I've joined LUF, there's been times where I've seen music introduced to it, and this is now another element which I've seen to it, which is kind of artistic. And I just think it's really good that there's these types of different artistic interpretations of ways of therapy and introducing people to the problems that are actually going on in real life, because it's another route, in addition to your typical therapy type programs, that this is another way of getting that message across in real life scenarios that actually happen, you know, to people in real life. So it opens my eyes to you know, that more creative element in terms of ways that we can get the message out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's anyone wants to join our puzzle productions, it's every Monday 11 o'clock. It's just one of our very many groups that we have on. That one's a little bit more fun, although that wasn't much fun, but it is serious subject. We're open to offers of I think we asked last week, what happens to Terry Tibbs? We don't really want him to die, but you know what I mean? I think he's going to recover. We've toyed with the idea of sending him to rehab, and then we can bring... I did rehab,
so on that, that was
my idea.
So what you have got with Puzzle Productions is a group of people who are spread out the width and breadth of Lancashire, who have found a way to produce a piece of art without breaking COVID rules.
Yeah, without physically being together.
Yeah.
Without physically being together. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. So while we have a think about that and let that sink in, I've got some jobs for you guys to do. So Chris, I'm teeing you up now, Mr. Fogg, for a rock down in the lockdown.
Okay.
And I would ask you guys to hit that share button now, not just to groups, share it to timelines, share it to your friends, share it to anyone and everyone, because this guy is amazing. And it might not be for you, but check out his passion when he gets into it. Share a bit of that love, guys.
All right, guys. Sorry, I have to change over microphone and headphones. This song actually starting out is a lot softer. It's a lot more in tone with the season, as it's obviously Christmas, and we put together like a little like Christmas thing that's been currently put together, and this is a song that I re-recorded for it, but as it's Christmas, I thought I'd start out with it. So this is by a band called Blink-182, and it's called Not Another Christmas Song. Well, I hate to be a downer, but I spent too many hours crossing days off the calendar. It don't mean nothing to me. I'm burned out like lights on a tree or something to listen to. Big or small, but all I can see is empty boxes. And never united a coffin. Growing up or whatever you call it. Sometimes you get what you want, but it's not what you wanted at all. This is not another Christmas song. And on and on and on and on. This is not another Christmas. Why can't we get divorced this Christmas? Because it isn't the same. I miss the nights that we got twisted. I miss fucking in the rain. You know, when you're always angry and I'm always saying I'm sorry. Depression's such a lonely business. Why can't we get divorced this Christmas? Another united a coffin. We're growing up or whatever you call it. Sometimes you get what you want, but it's not what you wanted at all. This is not another Christmas song. This is not another Christmas song. And this is not another Christmas. You're not in a coffin. We're growing up or whatever you call it. Sometimes you get what you want, but it's not what you wanted at all. This is not another Christmas song. Never, you're not in a coffin. We're growing up or whatever you call it. Sometimes you get what you want, but it's not what you wanted at all. And this is not another Christmas. You're not in a coffin.
We always get the old love hearts flying when Chris sings, I've noticed, when you come on. Barbara English has just said, your passion is infectious, as in everything he does, go lad. And our Hannah Lodge is watching, our Danny Thompson is watching, Samantha Neen, our Dan Little Child. Yeah, the little love hearts just go crazy when you start, so it's great, I love it.
Yeah, well, I there's a sort of funny story behind how we got to that song. So, with the Christmas sort of thing that Red Rose is putting together, you get given the line and you sort of like do with it as you please. And I answered it, and basically it says I think I'd make a good Santa because, and I was racking my brains for ages about what can I do with that line. And I sort of answered it with something a little bit funny about my beard. And then I said, you know, I'd go around, in all seriousness, I'd go around, and if I was Santa, I'd give the best present that I could, which is to free people of the shackles of depression for Christmas. That's the present that I would give. And then I launched into, because I couldn't make my mind up, I recorded 2 separate songs. One of them was Bullet by Hollywood Undead, and the other one was I Think I'm Okay by Machine Gun Kelly. So we did it, and we recorded it. We ended up recording it twice, and then I got a phone call of Bev, who was so lovely, and she was like, I've got some great news for you, and I've got like to be a little bit cheeky. So she gave me the good news, which I don't know if I'm allowed to divulge, so I'll skate over it. And then the cheeky bit was like, the songs that you did were amazing, but we're aiming it at sort of like families and like towards children. And obviously those songs have a bit of swearing in it, and it's about depression and taking drugs and addiction. So she was like, can you re-record the song? So I was like, yeah, okay. She was like, right, we'll do it tomorrow. And I was like, yeah, okay, but I'm so busy at the moment. I said, okay, completely forgot about it until about 20 minutes before I was set to record. And I was like, fuck, I have no, sorry for swearing. I have no idea what to do. And then that song came on my Spotify, and I was like, bingo, Spotify saved me again. So I did take the swearing out of it. I said hugging in the rain instead of what I said previously. I did make it more kids anyway. Yes, sir.
Chris, you're part of our. We've got a program, haven't we?
Yes.
Called Hope and Beyond. Hope and Beyond, and it's in partnership with NHS and Mind.
Yeah.
And that's how we've generated some extra resources to employ Emily, who came through as a volunteer on Red Rose Recovery and the Live LUF Lounge. Tell us a little bit about that Hope and Beyond program, Chris, because I'll share the post. You might have seen it, guys.
So this is the workbook that you get, and it basically, like, I got asked if I'd like to do it because obviously I'm going to be leading the mental health group in St Anne's. So I'm also like, I've said this before, but I'm still sort of being repaired myself, and I'm still working through stuff myself. So you're never really the finished article when you suffer with mental health. So I thought, you know, everything that I can do to get me better and to help me train and get me to where I need to be, it will be for the better. So I said, yeah. And basically they send you out a workbook. It's not as intimidating as it sounds. The workbook is something, it's something you go through as the course goes on. It's done in like hour-long chunks each week, and I think it's about 6 weeks, 7 weeks. We're currently in the 4th week, and it's a really strong sort of it's really strong course, and it really gets you thinking about stuff. Like for example, emotions and how you deal with your emotions, how you sort of cope with them as they come up, and it's really got me thinking about certain things, like especially with emotions, because you know, mental health means that we're not very great at dealing with emotions.
Yeah.
You know, we're great with dealing when we're up, but when we're down, that's when we struggle. So it's been a really insightful, well put together course. it's, you know, I was a little bit sort of trepidatious after the first week about whether I was enjoying it, but I actually really got into it, and I look forward to each week doing it now, because like I say, it makes you think. It sort of pushes you a little bit to sort of explore certain areas, and you know, like there's things that you do, like set goals for yourself and how you're going to achieve those goals, and you've got to make them sort of. You can't say, "Oh, I want to become prime minister" or anything like that. I mean, you can, but it's going to be hard to do in 6 weeks. But
realistic goals.
Yeah, set yourself realistic goals, and you really sort of you want to work towards it, and you want to put that work in, and it is a really it is a really good course, and it's, you know, I'll always be honest, you know, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worst, and like I say, it did take me, you know, a week or two to get into it. You know, I'm a little bit sort of, you know, hot and cold with certain areas of things, but I've grown to actually really get into it and really enjoy it. The group of people is really great. Bev and Barbara have been running it, and they're a great duo. You have a laugh with them, and it, like I say, it just gets you to explore different parts of mental illness, and like it says, hope and beyond. It's setting yourself goals and it's setting out, you know, giving yourself hope, and obviously beyond means, you know, looking past when the course is finished. You get to keep the workbook, you get to look back over the work that you've done, which is never a bad thing because you get something to go back and reference, and it, you know, it's giving yourself that footing to sort of deal with certain aspects that you're not going to deal with in groups, that you're not going to deal with, you know, in AA meetings and certain other meetings, and you know, that can only be a good thing. You know, it's never a bad thing to push yourself and to make yourself feeling uncomfortable is something that we all shy away from. You know, we don't like to be uncomfortable, but sometimes sort of pushing yourself to get a little bit uncomfortable and sort of explore those things. And why are they making you uncomfortable? Are they making you uncomfortable for certain reasons? And like I say, it's never it can be a bad thing in some aspects, but in this aspect, when you're looking at mental health, get yourself uncomfortable, explore why, and start digging deep.
Yeah,
we called it the stretch zone when I was in rehab.
Yeah, like it's you know, when I say get yourself uncomfortable, like, you know, there are aspects of our recovery and our addiction that, you know, we're going to feel uncomfortable about, and that is the stuff that, you know, you should shy away from. You know, uncomfortable sort of has two different sides to it, really. But when it comes to mental health, I genuinely think that, you know, we can't, if we feel comfortable, then that's not touching on the areas that are hurting you. Those aren't touching on the areas that are making yourself ill. You have to go to those uncomfortable areas in order to get yourself better. Otherwise, those wounds are gonna remain untreated and they're gonna remain open. And you want to
Chris.
Yeah, you want to deal with those things. Thank you very much, dude.
Got any guys from the community that have got any thoughts on that, Lindsay?
Yeah, Stuart, our lovely Stuart Watson, who strangely enough I was in rehab with at Littledale Hall, says being free from depression is a present that many of us would gladly accept, Chris. I'm still working on it too and happy that LUF's here on a weekend. I think that is because we do have a lot of groups on through the week with Red Rose Recovery, and I think this kind of I think it's become quite important to a lot of people,
and so it should do.
Yeah, well, it was because I think we were pretty on board though. You know, with the Zoom, and a lot of people were shying away from it, and then you realise, well, if you don't do this, if you don't do this Zoom platform, what else have you got? You must connect. To me, like I studied, I can't remember, I think it was a guy called Johan Hari in rehab. The opposite of addiction is connection, and it's just something. It's 100%. To me, this is connection. Our lovely Gary Walsh, who I also met in, there's a lot of people I was in rehab with on here. Emily Rook, every time you sing, can I just say she still mentions this scream off on the beach, and
Listen,
she puts it on every time.
do it. Wait until the weather gets better, me and you, we're going to do it.
Yeah, Gary Walsh, who I met in rehab. Dawn Coates, who I met in rehab. They're all just coming in to tune in to watch me, I reckon, and hoping I'll make a fool of myself. Emily Rook, Chris Rowlands, Jonathan, our lovely Jonathan Chapman, who I didn't meet. I met the day that you did your filming in St Anne's.
I missed the big man. I've not seen him in ages.
One of the things that I think is so good about this Hope and Beyond program is it gives you the skill set to be able to, one, identify, I'm having a feeling, I'm going through some emotions.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes good emotions are unhelpful because it's like, oh, I'm feeling really great now, I'll go and reward myself.
Yeah.
And that's not always, you know, great. Some of the ideas we have of how to reward ourselves, particularly if you're not experienced or well versed in how to, you know, reward yourself pro-socially.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going and having a drink or picking up substances. I think the other thing as well is when we talk about feeling uncomfortable, you can eventually start to feel comfortable about feeling uncomfortable, because there's a reason why we've, you know, biologically we're wired a certain way, aren't we?
Yeah.
And our experiences can affect how that wiring gets set up. I know Chris Howarth will be all over this because, you know, he's Chris, you've been writing a program, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you want me to kind of talk about the program or a bit of history about myself first and why I got into writing the program?
Absolutely, yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of skip over the stereotypical path of, life as a teenager. You know, we've all heard that type of story before in AA meetings and things like that. As a 14-year-old, you know, as a very, talking about being uncomfortable with feelings, you know, that was something I felt from the age of about 14. And so as soon as I drank alcohol or any other drugs, it was anything, even if the feeling of the drugs didn't actually make me feel better, it was something different to me feeling my own feelings. And so that was the start of it, really. From the age of around 21 to 26, it was just the heavy drinker, going out partying, lads' holidays, meeting women, all that sort of stuff, but kind of being okay. Then I was diagnosed with something called chronic pelvic pain syndrome, which is quite a rare sort of disease for males. I guess the best way to liken it is the equivalent to endometriosis, what females can get, although quite different, but it has some similarities to that. And it causes pain in the worst area for a male person. And now at the age of 26, when you're in your prime and you're out every weekend meeting women, you know, it's one of the most difficult things to deal with. And at the time, the consultant who was dealing with it, they don't know where it comes from or where the causes come from, but I was prescribed something which you will have heard of now called pregabalin, which is now a Class C drug. And, now we're all not as naive, and we all have much more access to information where we can research these drugs before we actually take them. At the time, as a 25, 26-year-old, I just started taking them. And not only did they help with the pain, but there was a mental effect on them as well, which, as that addictive type person, I latched onto as well. And so I became addicted to pregabalin. And in a way, I'm kind of glad it happened, because I think it sped up my alcoholism. And so in a way, it sped that up in a way where my alcoholism was always going to happen, but it could have happened in my 40s and 50s if it hadn't been for the pregabalin episode. Because what happened was I ended up drinking more of the evenings with the pregabalin to help with the pain, and kind of got into that kind of rhythm of doing it. Now, At the same time, I'd started doing a degree, a law degree, and I was working cash in hand. As a tradesman, I was a qualified car resprayer, but I've been made redundant and I was doing cash in hand jobs. And so I was at university. Now, when you've gone from working in a workshop with just lads, with a stereotypical kind of atmosphere, and getting away with drinking and drug taking and still being able to work, to then going into university where you're mixing with different genders, people from different backgrounds, different ages, different ethnicities, I quickly realized that my interpersonal skills were shot to bits. And the only way that I could ever interact with people was if I had alcohol inside me. Now, somehow I got through that degree. Between years 1 and 2, I was on a placement in Coventry University, and there was no way I could interact with people in an office environment unless I had a drink inside me. And so I did that 3 or 4 week placement, and it was absolutely horrific. And I was drinking round the clock, and that's when I knew. I was at Birmingham New Street Station, and I texted my dad and said, you know, I have a real problem, you know, I need help. And so I went to see my GP and explained the issue, and I was put on a waiting list for a local service. But as we all know, those waiting lists, you know, can be, you know, a long time. And I needed assistance quickly because I was about to start my second year of my my law degree, of which I was doing really well at. And I was very worried that if I was going to start my law degree in 3 weeks' time, there was no way I was going to be able to do it because I was drinking 24/7 and I couldn't just stop drinking. And so fortunately, my dad was able to afford to put me into a detox program in Gisborne Park in Clitheroe. Now, that wasn't a therapeutic program, it was a detox program. Now, normally I was fit and healthy. So after 3 days of being on Librium and coming off it, it was like Downton Abbey. I was out in the fields with my headphones on, running around. It was like the rise of the Phoenix, you know, I was back. And they kind of introduced the concept of the 12 steps, but I wasn't ready at all. You know, I didn't get it. I was challenging it. And I do remember 2 of my best friends when I came out, they always recall me saying that, you know, I'll give it 6 months, but I will be trying to social drink again. And it's a stereotypical path. We've all heard this in AA meetings and when we've spoke to other alcoholics, and 6 months later, I tried it. A year after that, towards the end of my degree, I was back drinking alcoholically, but I'd got through the degree. That was the saving grace. I'd somehow managed to get through the degree, got a first class, and so I'd managed to do that. Once that finished, all structure had gone, and it was, well, what do I do now? And then it was a license to basically, you know, I was trying to come off the pregabalin, which I did, just stopped taking, which caused me no end of problems. And then I was drinking 24/7 round the clock with no idea what the future was going to be. I was in a very turbulent relationship. She left me, unsurprisingly, and moved to London. In my bizarre mind, I was going to move to London with my new degree to win this woman back, which was obviously never going to happen. In the meantime, I was offered a job in Preston to work for a law company because I'd done well with this degree to run an operation out in Africa, because I'd had some experience with my dad's business out in Africa, and that would have been an amazing opportunity. But again, the inability to interact with people, and because of my addiction, meant within 2 weeks of being in that office in Preston, I'd lost that job because of my drinking. And it, you know, I was turning up and, you know, waking up the day after, no idea what had happened, but knowing that I'd lost the job. So that was job number 1 that got lost. Moved to London. Job number 2 lasted a few weeks. Job number 2 gets lost. And I do remember an instant when I lost that job. There's a place in London called Chancery Lane. And I've since been past Chancery Lane in my future career, and past the exact place where that happened, where I've been let go. I was in my suit. I was led on the side of the road, pouring down with rain, unable to stand up, trying to make it back to the tube station to get back to my flat. And that's kind of the state that I was in, with thousands of people just walking past me during that day. Managed to get through that, through horrendous withdrawals. Managed to get job number 3 by blagging it, and these connections that I had, and somehow managed to not drink for 5 weeks. But instead of not drinking for 5 weeks, I just threw myself into the gym. So I was exercising 3 or 4 times a day, and that was the replacement addiction, which we all know is unsustainable. And then the time came where, Chris, you're going to be meeting these agents this week, and there's going to be a party on the top of St. Paul's Cathedral. And this was a time where I thought, shit, I'm going to be expected to have a drink tonight, but I've not drunk for 5 weeks, so I deserve it. I'm going to have a drink. But I knew there was a feeling in my stomach, and, tolerance levels change as you become more of an addict. And once I'd had that 1 or 2 pints, that was it. Then it was, how many shorts can I get in my system? How much wine can I get in my system? And invariably, the day after, blackout, no idea what had happened, but found out that I'd had an argument with the CEO of the company, his partner. I'd almost had a fight with somebody else. Now, this was not the first time it had happened. And when I couldn't remember any of this. So I was told this later on the day after. And I've been drinking the day after whilst trying to chaperone this lady around London. And when I'd heard this was, the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th time that I've been told this. It was the 3rd job that I was about to lose. Good job. And they said, look, you can come up to the party again at the top of St. Paul's Cathedral. And if you've been there, it's an amazing setting. You're overlooking London. It's absolutely beautiful. But for me, the shame that I felt that time, I just wanted to go and run back to my flat and kind of hide. And that was kind of it. And I went back to the flat. And this is why I don't talk about the whole recovery story. I talk about this is the end bit before I got into recovery. And essentially, for about 5 weeks, I lived in a flat with 4 other people from different nationalities, but we didn't mix. We had a room with a lock and key. And that was it. And it was a really, rough area. And I got back, and my answer was just to get to the shop at 7 a.m. each morning, get my bottles of wine before anybody could notice me. And it was game over. Mentally and physically, I'd gone. I'd been in these similar situations before and just about managed to pull myself out of it. But this time I'd gone. And like I say, 3, 4, 5 weeks later, I honestly don't know the amount of time, but there was no washing myself, no shaving, no eating. And I will fully describe my room because I think it's important that you need to realistically understand how that can take you. Because some people think that it's things like heroin and stuff like that can take to that point, but this was alcohol and alcohol only. And my room was covered in empty bottles of red wine, bottles of water, which I'd urinated in because I was that scared of going to the toilet in the flat and people seeing me. So they were in the room. There was sick by the side of my bed, where, I couldn't actually take the actual alcohol. There was clothes all over the room. There was flies around the bits of food that I tried eating, but I couldn't eat. Now, you look at me now and you think, how can that happen to this sort of person? And I was a fit and healthy person normally. At this point, the police came round because my brother and my dad had an inclination that something wasn't right because I wasn't responding to text messages. My dad had found out that I'd left this business. And so the police knocked on the door and I unlocked the door. And fortunately, I could open the door just slightly and hide all the destruction that was behind me and kind of just say, I'm a bit under the weather and everything's okay. But fortunately for me, my brother and my dad drove to London from Preston the day after because they knew, and they basically rescued me. And if they'd not done that, because I lived in a flat where we didn't interact with each other, I honestly think that I wouldn't have been checked on. So I could have well ended up seriously ill, if not dead. And I'd seen that same story happen with my mum, exactly the same. She's fortunately still alive today, but physically and mentally disabled because of it. You know, a form of wet brain, which we kind of know what is. You know, she's got a kind of mild version of it. And I was going down that route, and you know, if my father and brother hadn't come to rescue me and take me back to Preston, you know, I honestly think I would have been dead because I'd gone. There was no way of me pulling myself out this time. You know, this was just paranoid, very paranoid way of getting to the shop in the morning at 7 o'clock before anyone could see me or anyone woke up in the flat, get my stash, somehow drink it, and just black out and repeat the process. Didn't know what day it was, what time of day it was, had absolutely no idea, just completely and utterly gone. And so I came back, and you know, my father kind of understood that I would have to wean off in some sort of way. So he was still very much didn't know about addiction at all. So it was quite hard to deal with, understandably, because he was unaware of things. But you know, he did try his best, and you know, I lived with him for 4 or 5 days before then going in the Priory. And I say this, you know, when I talk about some of the videos about to start my program, that I am forever grateful that I had a family that could afford to put me in the Priory, because I honestly don't know if I'd have gone straight to AA, if I'd have got the message or not. You know, I really don't know. And I know that most people out there can't afford to get in the Priory, or they don't have the family that can afford to stick them in the Priory. I'm lucky that when I got in there, this time I knew that for me, that was it, because it was a life or death thing now for me. It wasn't a case of try and control it, Chris, because it was where it had took me. I thought if it's took me to there, I can't, you know, I literally cannot control this, because it almost killed me. And if my dad and brother hadn't come, it would have killed me. So, you know, I got in there, and you know, it was a good program. I did as what I was told. I listened to everything. You know, I kept an open mind. Didn't think about whether I agree with stuff or didn't agree with stuff. I just did it. You know, I did what was told, and I threw myself into it. I think it was a bit of my academic nature of doing my degree, just wanted to engage in all the different exercises. Obviously, riddled in anxiety in the group sessions, but you try and force yourself through it. And they kind of, if you're not aware, they do this one thing where they get your family to write you a letter of how your addiction has affected them. And in terms of your step one, you sit in your group session and they give you the letter, and you open it up, you've not seen it, and you read that letter from your parents and your brother and your family. Oh, and the effect it had on me, I mean, I was bawling my eyes out, there was sweat pouring off me, and, you know, it really does then hit home about, you know, your actual problem. And the good thing about it is the therapists, they know whether you've got it at that point or not, because there's plenty of people that read it and they pay lip service to it and they still haven't quite got it in the gut. They've got it intellectually, but not in the gut. And luckily I'd managed to get it. And, you know, so I stuck with the 28 days. I did the aftercare program, got into AA, and I did a second year with the Priory, which was learning more about the steps. But I struggled to find a sponsor, in all honesty, to find one which I thought, you know, would resonate with me. And I had to go back to a therapist from the Priory and just say, look, you know my personality. Can you fix me up with somebody who you think would be good for me to take me through the 12 steps? And she did, and he was the perfect person for me. You know, he was a very spiritual guy. He was a couple of years ahead of me, and we went through the 12 steps. And, you know, it was brilliant. And, you know, from there, I started doing more voluntary work. I was doing sort of peer support work at the Priory. I was on the AA phone lines at Manchester, which was, you know, brilliant. You know, met a bloke called Fran, and we used to have our own recovery meetings, just me and him, you know, for 4 hours on a Sunday afternoon. You know, and if we got one breakthrough and we got somebody to go to an AA meeting, that was a success. Didn't happen a lot. You know, we got some of the most random calls, as you would imagine. But But yeah, started doing that sort of stuff. But it was at that point when I'd started building up, you know, more of my sobriety and like a confident sobriety, where I started thinking, well, what can I do now? You know, and how can I start to give back? And yeah, I started looking around at certain courses and degrees, and that's when I started doing. I did a master's degree through Middlesex University called Comparative Drug and Alcohol Studies, which looked at different kind of recovery programs from Europe, from the US, from Canada, from Australia, because I wanted to learn about, you know, I knew about the 12 steps, but, you know, what else is out there? And it was funny, really, because I went into it very kind of pro AA and very biased towards AA because it's what had helped me. And there's a lot of politics involved in academia, you know, and they were very quick to kind of not shoot it down, but very quick to kind of say, well, you know, there's other methods. And in a way that was good because it opened my eyes to the fact that there were other methods as well. And in short, my research kind of took me to start to learn about other programs that are out there. And I started to interview people from therapy centres, people that were in the AA fellowship, people that I knew from the Priory, people that had helped me, some of my sponsors and mentors, and just got their thoughts. And it's quite a simple methodology that I thought. AA has helped the most millions amount of people in the world. So there's something in it. It's helped me. It's got a lot of, you know, psychological, all these different challenging things that can really help your behavior. But I was also made more aware that lots of people don't go through AA because of the God element and the religious element. And a lot of people will say that's them making an excuse. And I think to some extent that's correct. But I do also think that it's important that potentially we have another option. So I thought, well, can we look at the 12 steps, take the religious aspects out of it, keep it spiritual? And I always remember speaking to a Catholic priest as part of the interview, and he said, are you taking the piss? You've come to interview me about removing religion from the AA program, and I'm a Catholic priest. But he did a lot of work in the community, and he understood that there were many that he was trying to get to go to AA who said, no, I don't want to go because of the God and the religion aspect. So he kind of understood where I was coming from. And so he was more than happy to talk. And his main thing was, look, Chris, as long as you keep the challenging aspects of it in and you keep it spiritual, you know, I'm all on board with it. And I kind of got this other message from other people. And I remember one therapist who'd, you know, she'd assessed probably, she reckoned in it about 15,000 people in the community through private organisations, through NHS, in the Northwest area. And she said the difference is in something like the Priory, you build up a relationship over 1 or 2 weeks where you can gently encourage people to go to AA. In the community, you might get 30 minutes of an assessment and try and get them to go to AA. And she did say, and whether this is right or wrong, but her experience was that up to 90% of people would say, I don't want to go because of the God and the religious thing.
Chris, let me just put a pin in it right there, because we're gonna go over to Chris Fogg for another tune, and then we're going to come back to you. And what I'd like the community, people who are watching via Facebook, to do is have a think about exactly that, what a 12-step program would look like without the religious connotations. Now, I'm going to choose my words carefully, so correct me if I'm wrong. You're not taking the spiritual aspect out of it.
Definitely not. No.
Religious aspect.
Definitely not. In the very first booklet that we do, we talk about spirituality because it's an important part of it. It's an absolutely key aspect of it. So it's definitely a spiritual program still.
Can I just quickly jump in with the a bit before Chris sings? Just the feed, because I'm going to lose my spot. The feed's gone mad Chris, with that, and I honestly say I feel physically sick because what you were saying there was like Groundhog Day for me. I think when I got rushed into hospital, I was rescued by a neighbour who was my enabler. Basically, I could no longer get even out of the house to get alcohol, so she had to bring it in.
Yeah.
And she rang my sister, so I was sort of rescued, as it were. My sister came and got me and took me to my GP. I was rushed into hospital, blah blah. But I hadn't eaten for, I think I'd had half a cup of soup at that point in 3 weeks. I couldn't get up the stairs anymore.
Yeah.
I was sat in my own, and I was on my own. My was partner and my children had gone to another country, and
yeah,
I was very, very, very poorly. So that sitting in your own grimness.
Yeah.
There's a lady on here, our lovely Emily Rourke, has described peeing in pans, even, which I know people think, and Chris Blencarn has said people think that you're having a jolly old time when you're drinking, and I was like, it's a long, like, you can stop, you know what I mean? You can't, it's not a case of, oh yeah, this drinks. And my head still thinks now, I see the adverts with the gin and tonic and I think, oh, that's lovely. And your head still convinces, well, you're having a jolly old time. But it was years ago that drinking was a jolly old time.
Yeah, it's not anymore.
It's sitting in your own stench, and it's just a horrible, Stuart Watson, it's horrible. It's a state of alcoholism. It's probably only your closest family and friends will ever see. And you wouldn't want people, because there's not many people saw me, the big orange scabbed up bubble that I became, weeing what I could describe as tar. I don't know what it was, but that's vomiting and sitting in your own whistle, and you can't even, not many people see you in that.
No, and that's why I think it's brutally, that's why I try and be as honest as possible about that. I mean, you mentioned I had empty water bottles, which I would urinate in, and it was just literally red wine that came out. That's all I had in my body.
Yeah.
Red wine. I probably could have drunk that again and got drunk off that, because that's all it was.
Right,
well, I had the joy of my dad. Sorry.
Let's pull it back round, because I know Chris has just said this is the last song he's going to sing because he's got a terrible toothache. So
yeah, I'm so sorry, guys. I've got horrific toothache, so I'm going to do this last song, and then unfortunately, I'm going to go and lie in a dark room for several hours. I'm so sorry, but
that's all right.
Yeah, this is going to be my last song. It's my pleasure to come on here, and this is my 5th time, and it really is. I have so much gratitude to be able to come on here. So I really am sorry to cut it short. But this is my last song. It's a song called Happy Song. It's a little bit more Chris Fogg. It's a little bit more angry because I'm feeling quite angry right now. It's called Happy Song by Bring Me the Horizon. Please enjoy and have a lovely Christmas to each and every one of you guys. Love you all. Sorry, there we go. There's a voice in my head. you so much, guys. I'm so sorry I have to cut it short, but I'm in horrific pain. Have a lovely Christmas. The world has coalesced into one giant mess of pain and unrest. But if we sing along, yeah, little goddamn louder to every song, pretend it's all okay. Let's go, let's sing along. Let's sing along. Fucking yeah. A little goddamn. Oh no, no, no. Now I yeah, that's the spirit.
Wow.
Scared me again, Chris.
There you go, man. There you
That's got some energy.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for that, Chris.
Thank you.
Enjoyed that.
Have a fabulous Christmas, Chris. Keep in touch. Keep safe.
Mate.
Guys, have a lovely Christmas. Remember, if you are feeling depressed, if you are alone, please reach out to people. Do not suffer in silence. We'll all be there for you. Have a lovely Christmas, guys. Enjoy.
Nice one, mate. Take care. Stay blessed. Bye-bye. Okay.
Pete, I think our Willie's having problems with his sound. Will you? Can you advise him? He's
he's gone. He's in the group. So let's see, Willie, if you can log out and then log back in again. We'll because he's here, but
he's not here.
He's muted himself and he's took his camera off. So
yeah, I think he's saying he can hear everyone's voices, but I don't know what voices he can hear.
Right, Willie, if you can hear me, log out and then log back in. That's the only voice that matters right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, I just love watching that guy perform. He puts everything into it. You know, he's a great guy. And
it is weird though, I'm not lying. If you watch the straight, if you can see the comments as well, but when Chris sings, all the little likes and love hearts just go flying up like confetti when he gets up. None come up when I'm speaking though, I've noticed. Come on, people.
Well, you'll have to sing us a song one week.
Oh, there you go. Emily's sending me some.
Okay,
can I just show you this? Because my distraction, I don't know if you've noticed. Come and say hello.
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 He got this. Pass me the box. My youngest is here with me at the moment. And he got this, you know, it is red rose. We got a food hamper, which was very lovely. But in the bottom, there was this Lego set. And it's kept him occupied for at least an hour. So thank you, Red Rose Recovery. That's been
nice one.
Nice one.
Nice.
Can you hear me, Pete?
Yeah, we can hear you and see you now. We've got you back on the airwaves. That is beautiful. Let's have another look at that Lego truck.
It's a ninja truck.
Oh wow.
I think I'm going to be investing in some more Lego because I've never known him so quiet and without technology in his hand. I much prefer Lego.
That is amazing. Okay. Willie, we are just talking with Chris Howarth about a program that Chris has written using his experience and his education to create a 12-step program, a 12 change program based on the 12 steps, but without religious connotations. And we was hopefully going to have a couple of other guests on tonight who they've not been able to make it, but I was thinking we could all have a conversation about it and include people from the community. So I suppose on that aspect, Chris, I mean, I've had a look at the programme, and you said you're happy to work with people. What made you want to take the religious connotations out of it, Chris?
It was just to give other people an option where AA doesn't work for them. I am always adamant that whenever I get talking to anybody, the first thing I say to them is, have you tried AA? Because it worked for me, and it's free of charge, and it's worked for many others. You know, it's a very important point that I make, that I am not anti-AA whatsoever. I'm just acknowledging the real fact that for some people, it doesn't work. For some of those people, it can be an excuse, but likewise, they might start a program like mine and make an excuse, in which case they're just not ready for whatever program. So for me, I mean, I don't really care. I just want as many people to recover as possible. And if we can provide people with another option, which helps them, well, that's what, you know, made me do it. And that's what my dissertation was written around that. And I always remember towards the end of it, there was one guy I knew from the Priory. We were in there together, and I passed him on this idea of alternative written steps. And he said, you know what, Chris, I've passed this on to somebody in the Berry group, and she's already said now that she reads it this way, she can now attend meetings and interpret it in this way. So you never know, you might just have saved one life just by doing that. You know, and that's it really.
I've met people who, before they explore the program, just discount it because either they've had an experience with religion that's just totally put them off it, and they're closed off to exploring it. So they've made a decision about it without even fully exploring it, and that's a real shame. And the other thing that I was thinking was, some people might be a bit confused as to how you've taken religion out of it but left spiritualism in it, and what's the difference? Just talk us through your understanding of that, Chris.
Well, I think religion has spirituality in it, but I think you can live a spiritual life without being religious. And I kind of break that down in the very first handbook, where we talk about, you know, spirituality is just a way of living. And for me, I never knew things around stuff like gratitude, acceptance, letting go, kindness, compassion, empathy, equanimity, all these things which I class as spiritual principles. And so it's introducing those kinds of concepts into people, and they're just guidelines for ways of living. And you can get these from, whether it's religion, you can get them from Buddhism, you can get them from all different types of sources. And I always remember, I did a lot of, when I did my dissertation, I did some collaboration work with a lady called Wendy Dossett from Chester University. Now, she's a religious studies teacher, but does a lot of work in terms of how religion links to 12-step recovery. And she had a lovely sentence, which basically, in summary, said, academics, scientists, and people that are pious will word things in different ways, when actually, if you word it in everyday language, it all means the same thing. And so what I've tried to do is just word it in that everyday language, where the end result is the same thing. And hopefully by doing that way, we don't scare people off initially. And look, I've even come across people that when you mention spirituality, they get all scared and think it's all something mystical and something like that. And you even have to kind of break that down to say, well, no, it's not. And I've had people that open their minds up to that. And then even once they've opened their minds up to that, can then start opening their minds up to the possibility of religion further down the line. You know, and I'm all for that. You know, once you've gone through the program, what I try and do then is say, you know, there's loads of materials out there. Go and find other materials and do more exploration if that's what works for you, or it might just be the program of the making changes which works for you. But I mean, if you look at the 12 steps and a lot of the stuff that we have to do in it, things like inventory, things like amends, things like reaching out to others, things like acceptance, for me, not necessarily they have too much to do with, a faith in a God or whatever. They have to have a faith in the program and the faith that it works based on that it's worked for other people. And so what I've tried to say is that we can still do all those challenging things without necessarily having to believe in a God. We can still get all those benefits that are in the 12 steps. And I've also, because then you could be accused of just copying it and missing stuff out. So I've also included other things which I've learned on my journey, which is there's one big focus on something called loving kindness meditation, which I think is massively helpful for resentment, as we all know is one of the biggest triggers for relapse. So that type of meditation really helps with resentment. I try and introduce gently the concept of mindfulness and meditation, which is very similar to the 1 day at a time thing. It's the same type of ethos, the same type of principle. And so I think it's just something that's a bit more modernized for today's language and maybe a bit more easier to read. And, time will tell. Up to now, I've had the people that agree with me and that are on board. I've had one guy from a local treatment centre who said, Chris, we're crying out for something that's innovative like this, that's a different option to something like AA or smart recovery or whatever. The market kind of needs it. There's a gap for it. I've interviewed other people from AA, long timers, staunch AAers, who nearly lynched me when I put this concept to them. And, so that was an eye opener itself. But for me, again, I don't care if AA works for you and my program doesn't resonate with people, go to AA. All I care about is getting as many people well as possible. And I honestly stand by my program and think that it can help people who are put off by those things within AA. And I understand that it's contempt prior to investigation. I get that. But unfortunately, that's a true fact. And people will not engage in it, regardless. And if they engage in something else and it works for them, well, that's better for us all because we're helping more people, and that's the ethos behind it, and that's what I want to do. And up to now, I've been working one-to-one, but obviously after speaking with you and a couple of other charities, now I'm looking to kind of broaden that out to see how we can work with people who are perhaps maybe even more vulnerable, that need more help, than people that perhaps, pay for a private program. And that's why I'm looking to now, widen the program out, test it and see what works. And one thing, as you and Emma will confirm, is that what I want to do is get feedback from the likes of yourselves and service users who go through charities to say, hang on a minute, Chris, we think this could be better. This could be kind of changed in a better way. And I will make those changes and I will amend it to try and make sure that it's the best program that it could be, because, I want this to be successful.
Yeah.
Lindsay.
Yeah. I've attended one NA meeting and one AA meeting, and I'm not anti-religious. I'm not anti anything really, and I'm 100% with you. Like you did the Priory, I did a therapeutic community. I couldn't care less what works for one person doesn't work. I've got friends who did therapeutic community. They now do the 12 steps. I've got other people who do CR, Christian recovery. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it works. But like you say, if you want it, I would personally, if I did this, and I would literally do anything to keep my sobriety, anything at all. And if one thing didn't work, I will try the next. As it is, Red Rose connection, having a sense of purpose, having a structure. That's mine, not religious in any. I've lost both my parents, both had humanist funerals, so I'm completely not. And I know it definitely, there's people on this stream here that are definitely saying about the religious things putting them off. Chris Rowlands, I think it is, he wants some more Chris's literature. Chris Blencarn stuck on amends. Is that one of the 12 steps?
Yeah, amends, yeah.
Amends, yeah, he always gets me stuck and can't get past it. Like I said, this is all, I don't know what all it means, but yeah, a lot of people agreeing with this. They've tried it. But like I say, you just try something else, and I sound a lot of people interested in this, the concept of something else.
What we're going to do is in the new year, look at setting up a group where Chris can, I mean, you tell us, Chris, what's the vision for the future?
So at the moment, I mean, I initially wrote the program for me to deal with people one-to-one. And in all honesty, after feedback from yourself and Emma, that program was too long. It was massive, and it would have taken a load of work. It was typical of me and my academic nature, really, to get all the details down as much as possible. And so following feedback from yourself, we've kind of said, you know, and we know what addicts are like, you know, it needs to resonate and resonate quickly. So what I've been doing at the minute is editing it to try and get it down so that we can deliver it in a month. And I'm also probably going to have a 3-month option as well. And I've made some real good progress in the last 2 or 3 days on that. You know, I've cut about 80 pages out of it, kept the key exercises in it. And what I want to do, you know, with Red Rose and other charities is say, okay, for 3 months, let's get 10 people who we think could benefit from it. We'll do 3 sessions a week, whether they're 90 minutes, 2 hours, and we'll go through each change. So instead of a step, I call it a change. So we'll go through the booklet and we'll work through the exercises, and we'll discuss the exercises as a group. And as part of that group, you know, we'll bounce off each other, hopefully inspire each other and learn from each other. And the idea is that, you know, we'll learn from the stuff that's in the book, because don't forget, it's come from 12-step stuff, but it's come from other stuff that's been proven. This is not just me that's made stuff up. It's stuff that I've researched as part of a 2-year master's degree, where
it's evidence-based.
Yeah, my dissertation won an award. They actually wanted me to speak at a Portuguese drug embassy to talk about my research, but I was on holiday, you know, at the same time. So it received high award. And on that degree, I was the only person out of 50 odd people from different countries who was in recovery. So I had a different take on everything that they were doing. And I think it was to my advantage. You know, hopefully, you know, I used that as part of the insight, you know, into making the program. And so in terms of, you know, moving forwards, you know, we want to do this kind of initial 3-month, you know, pilot, but it's important to then say, okay, where's it been successful? What do the users think? Can we train some people up in Red Rose Recovery as well to be able to deliver the program thereafter? And continuously improve it, because things always evolve in my mind. Things are always changing. People are always changing. Look at social media and the way that we're all interacting now. You know, we're all talking about mental health more. I think addiction's got a lot to catch up in terms of mental health and reducing that stigma. So this is about, again, getting it out in the open. Lots of corporate workplaces now have health and well-being programs, but they tend to be around mental health. They don't tend to be about addiction. That's still a stigma.
Yeah.
You know? So can that be something that we move into in the future as well? So I've got big ideas, you know, but at the moment we are where we are with it. I think, I mean, what's been great for me this week, I'm working with a one-to-one client at the minute, and he's put about 20% effort into it, and he's got the same out of it, basically. And I had to have a strong conversation with him and give him a kick up the arse and basically say, if you carry on, we're probably not going to work together. you know, the value is not
Yeah.
me and you talking. The value is in these books, because this is where all the exercises, and if you engage
I don't think there's anything wrong with testing people's motivation and saying, you know, I've got, my time is valuable, and what I've got to give is also of value. I value it, and if you're not going to value it, then swipe left, because there's someone who will. And that, you know,
what are we doing? You know, and the week after, I've got to say, he came back. He'd written about 15 pages in an A4 pad. He'd highlighted all this stuff in the handbook, and he'd really engaged in the program, and he'd not just read the stuff, he'd taken it in, thought about it, written about it, and thought, how can I implement this into my daily life? And that's exactly what I want people to do.
Jack Robbins has come in, he's got, sorry, Lindsay, go on, taking
No,
your
I was just
job.
going to say, yeah, so I was just talking about stigma, I was just going to promote my top here. But yeah, Jack Robbins, is the programme free? And Neil McNicholas, who played Nigsy in the thing, and Chris Rowlands, you've got at least 3-4 people that are interested in it. Jack Robbins, yeah, is the programme free?
So
he's saying brilliant, another avenue for people to explore.
Yeah.
Yes. So at the moment, because I'm working kind of privately with people, there is a charge to it. But that's why, again, I'm engaging with people like Peter, because what we're looking to do is work with charities to prove the programme, so that then Peter and the likes of Red Rose can go to wherever they get their funding and say, we've got a programme here that works, we need some funding for it, and so then beneficiaries can go through the charity and ultimately
One example, a similar example. So we kept hearing people saying, because I didn't fit in, or I didn't have the skills to fit in, I used to drink and use drugs. I didn't feel confident without it. I didn't feel like I belonged without it. And so we've written a speaker boot camp program, which gives people the skills and the confidence. Normally, if you want to go on one of these programs per person, it costs £350 per day. And me and Emma recognise lots of our guys haven't got £350 a day to go on a speaker bootcamp training course. Yeah. So we started to put them through it, and the cost for that we generate by delivering, you know, contracts, which enabled us to, I suppose, generate income for our time and invest that time into our community. So we're going to try a similar concept with Chris, but what we've got to do is weigh and measure it first. So the community have got to get all over it. You know, people have got to get on it and see if they want it. And that's what we're going to do in the new year. You know, we're going to roll out a program, so there won't be a cost for you guys at the point of entry, but there will be a cost somewhere down the line, because what we're saying is we value our time and expertise, and you're not having it for nothing. You know, and there's nothing wrong with attaching a value to your time. We haven't got a problem with that. If anything, we want to create more of it. We want to stop people expecting they get stuff for free, because where do you get stuff for free out there?
I mean, just to add to that as well, in terms of what I put into this, I've probably spent over £30,000 of my own money over the last 3 or 4 years on the master's degree, on creating a website, on making these booklets, hundreds of hours spent kind of writing and researching and using different documents. So that's where the value comes into it. But at the same time, you know, this is not something that is all about making money to me. There'll be a commercial model to it, but there's a balance between that commercial model, but also making sure that it helps as many people as possible. And that's where negotiation comes into it. And I think, you know, you and Emma have got the idea from me that I'm more than open to that negotiation and meeting that middle ground where, you know, we make sure that everybody, including the beneficiaries, does all right out of it. And it's not about greed. You know, it's just about getting a program out there. How can we grow it? And how can we get as many people benefiting from it as possible?
And how can, I suppose very, very early on, I got clued up to, I got schooled by a university. They came to a Lancashire User Forum and they said, Peter, that's brilliant that you're engaging with all these people who've got complex and multiple needs, and we really struggle to engage with them, but you've created a space and they're all here. Can we come and consult and ask them some questions? And I said, yeah, of course you can, come along. And there was about 200 people who they spoke to, and they gathered all that intellectual property. And I said to them, that's brilliant. Are you going to share that data? And they went, no, we can't possibly do that. No, we couldn't possibly do it. It's ours, this data. We're going to go and write funding bids and draw down significant amounts of money. And I thought, what about all our community? We've not just got even a few crumbs off that table. So rather than getting resentful and bitter and twisted about it, what I did is I learned, and I said, okay, if that's how business gets done, we better start operating on a different level, because we want some of that resources. We want to create employment. We want to create, poverty is the real enemy, isn't it? And I suppose that's what we've done really well. We've stayed true to our commitment of going after resources, getting them and diverting them to our community. And that's why, the lowest paid person in Red Rose Recovery is not out of reach from the highest paid person. It's not one, it's a charity. And in that, I suppose what we've always got to do is teach our guys how business gets done, teach them and say, together, we can change, we can be the change we want to see. We can make them changes, Chris, but together. We've got to do it together. We've got to start building each other up, encouraging each other, positively reaffirming each other, not knifing each other in the back, slagging each other off, pulling each other down. We've got to continue
we live an honest program, can't we? So, even if we have to have those difficult conversations, that, we can have them, and, that's absolutely part of it. And I think,
well, that was the first conversation we had when we said, okay, if this is a model, how can we make sure if people are going to deliver that model as an income generation, that they get resources for it? And fair play to you, Chris, you was up for it, weren't you?
Yeah, because I think it's got to be sustainable. And what I want is, if 10 people go through it and 4 people do well out of it, well, can those 4 people then get an opportunity to either do part-time or full-time work, then delivering the program to other people and get paid for it? And if that becomes part of a license agreement between Making Changes and Red Rose, and that's taken into consideration, whether I take a bit of a hit on that, but I've got to think about bigger picture. If I take a hit on that, but 4 people are delivering that program, as a wider picture and growing that program, it's going to grow. So, but there's an ethical point to that as well, is that 4 people previously unemployed are now employed, and they're probably doing something. They're doing the 12-step thing. They're giving something back, and they're doing something that they enjoy as well.
And
so
underneath that, but underneath that, you've got 4 families who, in many cases, I'm not saying in every case, but in many cases, what we know is addiction is a generational thing. It goes from one generation to another, but so can recovery as well. You can stop your kids going into care. They can, stop going into the criminal justice system. They can stop going into services just because one person makes those changes in their life. It can have a massive contagious effect on their family. So I get your point, but that's just a drop in the ocean to what we can do when we start thinking on them levels. Willie, you've been really quiet tonight. Let's have some of Willie's wisdom.
What do you want me to talk about, Pete?
Well, what's on your heart? What's on your mind?
Well, I was going to do a bit about addiction. How addiction hides mental health.
Oh, go on.
No.
I like it. Go on.
Right, I'll just take my phone out so I can walk around my room. Growing up in near Glasgow, and I grew up near Glasgow, like as a kid, I used to see a lot of addiction as a young boy, and as I grew up, a lot of people were getting addicted to different stuff, drink, drugs, and a lot of them had mental health problems. Now, mental health problems, people do, people do take drugs and drink alcohol to mask the mental illness.
Or medicate.
Yeah, medicated, yeah. You get medicated, yeah, that's it. And
Medicate the pain.
Medicate the pain, yeah. Pain of maybe losing someone, pain of families breaking up, pain, just pure pain from everywhere. And basically me, I had that pain for growing up. When I was younger, I used to see snakes and everything flying through the air at me. And I think it was down to like trauma, as a younger.
Yeah.
And as I got older anyway, I started hearing stuff in my head and stuff like that, seeing stuff and being paranoid and wondering who's who. And so I took drugs to get rid of it.
Yeah.
To mask the pain, like you said, to mask the drug pain. And I kept going for years and years, just taking drugs and alcohol. And I thought, right, this and that. And I had to come off drugs when I went to prison. And that's when I got medicated when I was in prison. It got worse for me. I started, what people think is drink and drugs and that lot.
Yeah.
People pick it with their own choice, which they don't. Because I've seen people on them hospital units and things like that.
Yeah.
And they've took it to mass stuff, illnesses, to mass pain, to mass anything that's coming at them. And that's the way they live, which is a shame to these people. These people should be getting looked at properly. And these people outside, the addicts who take this and that, they need counselling. They need stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're not getting it. And they keep on blaming the addicts and that lot. But how can addicts become good if they're not getting no help or nothing like that,
Do you know, that's a great question. We've got a very special, we share a very special friend called Leanne. And if you know Leanne, then I only have to mention Leanne and you know her. If you know her, you know her. And we've also shared a platform, haven't we, Willie, where we've spoke to some of the top psychiatrists and clinicians who run these institutions. And between me and you, Willie, we've done a bit of a double act, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, haven't we?
And it all started for you on that speaker boot camp, didn't it?
Yeah, that you passed me on.
Well, that's important though. We've got to keep passing it on, haven't we, mate?
Yeah, you got to keep passing it on. The speaker boot camp's ace to go for, like, you know what I mean? It gives you confidence and makes you chat on like me.
So listen, Willie, it's nearly 7 o'clock now, and we've come to the end of my monthly live LUF Lounge. Can I just say thank you to you, to Chris Howarth, to Lindsay, and all the people in the community watching. And can I take this time to say, have a very, very happy Christmas. But the other thing is, I know some people won't. I know some people will really struggle with resources. They might not have money for presents. They might not have food or heating, you know, and we haven't got all the answers, but what we can do is say, you know, we'll help each other, help each other. So I suppose my ask is to not suffer in silence. You know, if you've got an issue and you need help, then reach out to one of us. We've got a vibrant recovery community full of people who want to contribute, but sometimes they don't know how to. Red Rose Recovery is a charity that is driven to help people. So you can partner with us, or you can just get into the Lancashire User Forum and do it yourself. Stand shoulder to shoulder with other guys and girls who have got a similar ilk. But we're nearly there, aren't we? We're nearly at Christmas. And I just want to spare a thought for the families, for the people who've lost loved ones this year, and spare a thought for the people who are in emotional pain, because boy, we know what that emotional pain is like.
Only too well, unfortunately. Our lovely Barbara, for one, she's going to have a tough Christmas, losing her daughter. I think she's got the funeral on the 29th, so sending love to our Barbara English, who has been watching tonight, amongst many others.
So as we go tonight, I'm just going to end it with the way we opened it. We're going to play that 2-minute clip of photographs of people who've been with us through the years. Some are still with us, some have moved on to better, beautiful things, and some have crossed over to the other side. But what will always remain the same is we're always going in this direction. We're driven to help people help themselves. And I don't know if you guys have got anything you want to add to that.
Well, I think a lot of people have been asking about what's on. I think I'm surmising the WhatsApp group and stuff is on, and I think the Zoom groups, which are all available on the Red Rose page. I'm always at the end of the phone. The people that are out there, I take numbers off people all the time. Just don't. You're not on your own. You're never on your own. There'll always be somebody to pick up the phone. I mean, I made connections since the last LUF with Willie, and we message each other. You know what I mean? It's just meeting. It doesn't matter who it is. You know, there'll be somebody. I've put Glen. I'm thinking of Glen Island there. I've put Chris at Making Changes on the comments. There was an Insta page as well, so I'm awfully sorry I haven't got around. I'm trying to multitask. Yeah, pick the phone up, just stay connected, make a phone call, whoever it may be.
Can I share a little, because it's good to focus on, you know, it's like some people, they go and you don't know what's happened to them. And I stay in touch with quite a few people, and one of them just said, Pete, do you mind if I say thank you to a few of the guys? So if you don't mind, I'll just share a quick thank you. Are you okay with me doing that, guys?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Right. Give us a thumbs up if you're all right with that in the community. So are we getting thumbs ups, Lindsay?
Oh, we're getting lots of love, because I mentioned Barbara. She's getting some major love on our, which is, it's what we do, isn't it, at Red Rose?
Right,
Oh,
so
and Willie, and some love for our Willie McBlain from Emily Rook, bless her. Everyone loves our Willie, don't they?
Well, some of you will remember this fella here. He just wants to say a few words to people. So let me just make sure I've ticked the box. So I might not have ticked the box. I've ticked it.
Hi everyone at Red Rose Recovery. I'd just like to say a massive thank you to everyone who's helped me along my way. Those of you who don't know me, a few years ago I was in desperate need, addicted to drugs, didn't know a way to get off them, didn't know it was possible to ever get off them and ever get back working and living a normal life. But in my last resort, which I got pointed from in the right direction by my mum, who told me to get hold of Red Rose Recovery, which I did, and straight away, as soon as I got hold of him, no questions asked, just took me off my feet, took me under the wing, and guided me into becoming a better me, better than I've ever been. It's been an amazing experience the past few years recovering. It's not always been high. There's been some very horrible patches where I ended up bed crying, not knowing what to do, where to go, lost, hopeless. But I'm now, I feel like I'm getting to the end of it after a solid, say, 3 years, just knuckling down. So now, thanks for the Red Rose training, which helped me pass me an interview for United Utilities, where I am now a developer service inspector. So I've just got my new place, which you can probably see. This is on Salford Quays Media City. So I've gone from rehab, supported housing, knuckling down, back and forth, gritting my teeth, and now I'm here. And I'd just like to say that once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I couldn't have done without you. Thank you.
I recognise that guy. You're muted, Pete.
Yeah, word up from Daniel, who just wanted to say thank you to a couple of guys for scooping him up when he was not in a good place, but sticking with him, you know, through the tough times when it does get tough, you know, and like he said, at the end of the bed with me head in my hands, crying my eyes out, you know, I think it's very brave to get vulnerable like that.
I love them, me. I love it when this is why I do what I do, because when you see people on the, excuse my French, on the bones of their arse, and then you see them starting to, and you can see it when people come on groups and they don't put the cameras on, they don't speak, and then they come on and within a few weeks, you know, they start just gradually, and you can see this, and you think, oh wow, it's just, absolutely love it. It's the reason I get out of bed. I love it.
Yeah.
I know. Where do I know the guy from? It's not the guy that did the brick. It's not Daniel Holden, is it?
Yeah, it's Daniel. It's our Daniel. That Daniel. He used to work for us, didn't he, over in Accrington a few years ago.
It's not that Daniel Holden.
No, not Daniel Holden.
Because there was a guy that did a brick loan for something not that long ago. I just had a look of him.
Right. Anyway,
success. I love it.
I loved his. Did you see how his dog come? It was like we put Daniel we put Daniel and the dog through speaker boot camp, and they really had a great day. So listen,
I'm still want to do that. By the way, there was an emergency on Preston train station, and it was an evacuation for a fire the day of speaker boot camp. So I couldn't wait.
I don't know if anyone knows what Boris has been doing.
There's been but are we in? Has he made a new tier?
I think he's put that you can only have one day now, Christmas Day.
Right.
That's what someone told me anyway before.
Well, we've got plans and designs to gear up our training in the new year. So watch this space. I know Glenn and his sidekick, his colleague, I should say, have planned a date in the diary to deliver speaker boot camp again. So touch base with your team leaders and get your names down.
There's another one that popped up as well, a strong women one, which I've had an email about. I've been signed up for. So that's coming in January, I think.
Okay, last word from Chris Howarth.
Just to say, I'm really humble, really grateful, really excited about where this could bring. I mean, I've spent the last few years working as an IT consultant. Trust me, good career. Could have carried on with that, you know, forever and done really well out of it. But, you know, if I earn less commercially doing something like this, it's an absolute no-brainer for me because it's what I'm passionate about. And I truly believe, you know, with the program, but I also believe that with help from the likes of yourselves, that we'll get to the best program that it can be and we'll help the most people. So I'm just really grateful to be on this platform tonight and appreciative to you, Peter, for engaging with me.
Great to have you on. Lindsay, a word from Lindsay.
A word from Lindsay. There's been so much about, well, Chris, about Chris really interested in this new program and wanting to get on board. So I've put the page on the Chris Rowlands. There's a way to finish. Grateful I'm not dead. Me too, yeah, Chris. Absolutely. Yeah. I've got a breath and a pulse, which is always.
So am I. I know that guy, and he's not joking neither.
Well, yeah, I was close to where I want to be. But yeah, a lot of people are really interested in this program of Chris's. So it sounds like we're going to have some just lots and lots of lovely comments all night. To be honest, it's been really good. Very grateful. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to like and share.
Brilliant. Willie, let's have a word from Willie.
Yeah, Chris has put together a good thing though, you know, for people. I'd just like to say to people, you know, happy Christmas and stay safe. And I love yous all, and I'll see yous whenever I can. Thanks.
Send him my love, Willie.
Thanks, Willie.
Send my love.
The last word for me would be let's build a better future. Let's build a better community. And let's build it together.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
happy
Let's
Christmas.
Do it.
And tune in next week because the guys are going to do some more acting, some more. I think Andy Toynton from Inspire in the East is going to do Christmas Nativity.
Oh,
so tune in
goodness.
next Saturday for that. That should be amazing, guys. All right, stay safe.
Night all.
Everybody. Cheers. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Night, Lindsay.
Cheers. Bye.
I feel sweet. Do you feel sweet? It's amazing. I have no skin and I feel everything. It's amazing. I feel good when you feel good. I knew I would. It's amazing. I've wanted this for so long. Now the deed has been done. We shall rise with the sun. Spend our time as one. Now there is no sin in anything. It's amazing. I love life, I hope you do too. 'Cause I love everything, it's all amazing. I feel new, do you feel new? I understand when they say we're born again. 'Cause I've been born again. I'm born again. And it's amazing. It's the best thing. It's glorious. It's life-changing. This feeling is amazing. It's the best thing. It's glorious. It's life-changing. This feeling